ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay. Now, Sannyasa Yoga, what is literal sannyasa is chapter 5. He is always comparing. See, whenever you have to follow one paradigm when you are hearing, reading the Gita, whenever Krishna says sannyasa is the highest, you have to take it as jnana lakshana sannyasa. Jnanena karma sannyasa is what he takes as the highest. If they are compared and he seems to be praising Karma Yoga, you have to admit that he is talking about lifestyles. Okay? Sannyasa and Karma Yoga as lifestyles he is talking about. This difference you always have to understand. And Krishna seems to, in a way, lean towards the Karma Yoga lifestyle because he doesn't want people to face the hassles of a hasty renunciation. That's why he said dukkam aptam ayogataha, etc. When you are not ready for sannyasa and you take up sannyasa out of some enthusiasm, you see sannyasis being praised and respected, not nowadays everywhere, but some places. Therefore, you also feel, okay, I should also take sannyasa. I am anyway on the track. Or out of enthusiasm, it can happen. Okay? Krishna always cautions against that because you may not be ready for it. You have desires within you and the field of endeavor is gone. Remember, Karma Yoga is important because you are working to fulfill your desires. Nothing wrong in desires. It's only a human being who can desire. As I always say, a cow doesn't get up in the morning and decide, shall I eat grass or shall I have a cutlet for breakfast? A cow cannot have such desires. You and I can have. Omelette khayega ya cutlet khayega. You and I can have. Yeah. I like omelette, but I have decided to become a vegetarian. All right, so we have vegetarian versions also. Tomato omelette. The classical Udupi creation. Yeah, creative ways of doing it, okay. It's good, nothing wrong in all these things. Yeah. So, it's only human beings that can have desires. And Karma Yoga is about growing out of them. By trying for them and getting it, therefore accepting it as prasada, not getting it, accept it as prasada, and having the maturity to say enough of time and effort, let's move on to something else. Let's move on in life. So either way, you grow. So that is why Krishna keeps insisting in lifestyle that against a hasty renunciation. And it's important to see that. Yeah. Keeping that in mind, he is talking about it in the 13th verse. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare puraye dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Sarva karmani, all karmas, totally. Okay? कुछ बाकी नहीं छोड़ा है, all karmas. Okay? Manasa sanyasya. Manasa sanyasa doesn't mean mentally giving up. Okay? But manasa here means jnanena. Okay? By knowledge that aham akarta abhokta. Me, I am what Atma Sarupaha, Sachidananda Rupaha, Ananta Rupaha. Therefore, I cannot do any karma. I have no karma or no karma phala. I cannot do or receive anything. Okay? Therefore, manasa sanyasya aste sukham vashi. The guy is seated very happily. Anando. Where? Where is he seated? Navadware Pure Dehi. In this city, what is the city? The city of 9 gates. The body, eyes, ears, nose, etc. If you count all of them, 9 gates. Okay. So in this 9-gated city called the body, okay, Sukham Aste, he says, happily he is sitting down. How? Naiva Kurvan na Karayan. Neither does he do anything, nor is he impelling anything else to be done. Okay. He is not a backseat driver either. Okay. Wife is driving the car and husband is saying from behind, do this, do that, come on, brake. Light is yellow. No. Naiva Kurvan na Karayan. Doesn't cause anything to be done. But Swamiji doesn't the mind etc. do because of the Atma? Yes. In the presence of the Atma, the mind is enlivened. But the Atma is not going and telling the mind, hey, get up, come on, udo, come karo. Do, what are you sitting down on your butt? Mind is, Atma is not doing anything. Atma is present. Like the examples classically given are, when the sun is there, the rising sun is there, the flowers bloom. Poetically you can put it, kissed by the morning rays of the sun, the flower blooms like a young blushing maiden. All that you can say poetically. The sun doesn't do anything like that. Sun just rises, it's there. The sun is there, the flower blooms. Be kya karu? Naiva Kurvan na Karayan. Remember, as limitless consciousness, what can I do? Nothing. Because I am limitlessness. I am unconditioned by time and space. Action means minimum movement. From here my hand is there to here when my hand is not there. Minimum this much it involves. I am limitless consciousness. There is no place I am not there. So how do I move? How do I act? In me all the actions take place, but I myself do not act. I myself do not do. In me all the karma phala happens, but I don't receive any karma phala. I am a different degree of reality altogether. Like everything happens in space, but space is not a subject or an object of any action. Even though many interior designers in their arrogance will say, we work with space. You work in space. You don't work with space, okay? In the space available, you do whatever you can do. Sometimes sensibly, sometimes idiotically, by breaking down pillars. Therefore, Navadware Pure Dehi Sukham Aste. I sit Mauni Baba Bankar. Anandoham. Okay. Anandoham iti. I am relaxed, always relaxed. Where is stress? I don't do anything to be stressed out. I don't receive anything to be stressed out. So where is the stress? Remember one thing. When I say these things, to elaborate it, remember this is not an attitude that you are cultivating. This is very important. This is mental sannyasa, meaning what? Sannyasa by knowledge. This is the natural state of mind for someone who knows the truth. And that someone who has known the truth is supposed to have Jnana Lakshana Sannyasa that we saw in the previous chapter as well. This is Jnana. Manasa Sannyasya meaning Jnana Lakshana Sannyasa. This is what it is. You are never doing anything. Never have you done anything. Therefore, nothing you are responsible for. You are completely free from the whole thing. So this is the learning. Okay? This is not attitude. You can't cultivate this as an attitude. Please don't try it. You will end up as a big mess. If you try to cultivate it as an attitude, you will end up as a big mess. I see why I am saying all this is because I see various commentators and modern characters writing, you are not doing, God is doing. Yeah? That is called abdication of responsibility. You have done it, na? You better face the music now. Don't blame God for it, okay? For your idiocy, don't blame God. Their karma phala. What you need to do is prasada buddhi, etc. Those are the attitudes to be cultivated. Prasada buddhi, Ishvara arpanam, etc. are attitude. Therefore, whole of karma yoga is attitude based. Sannyasa as a lifestyle is also attitude based. What is the attitude? Agate swagatam kuryat gachantam na nivarayet. He will say that. Whatever comes, you welcome it. Whatever goes, you let it go. You are not tied down with it. That's also attitude. You live day to day. Each day is fresh. That is attitude. This, what he is talking about here, is jnana lakshana sannyasa. Manasa sannyasa meaning jnanena sannyasya, not attitude. Very important to understand it. Therefore, either you will live a life of sannyasa or a life of karma yoga. Pursuing knowledge. Once you gain the knowledge, this is your natural state. Once you have made the knowledge a fact of your life, this is natural for you. Okay. Now that he is elaborating in the next verse also the 14th verse. Na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya se srajate prabhu na karma phala samyoga svabhavastu pravartate. Prabhu, the shining one, the effulgent one, Vibhu. Na kartrutvam, no doership. Na karmani, nor any karmas to be done. Srajatihi lokasya srajati prabhu. Atma, the Lord here referring to the Atma, does not create kartrutvam, karma phalam, karmani, responsibility, etc. It doesn't create anything. Na karma phala samyogam, nor connection with karma phala, etc. All this is not the job of the Atma. Atma doesn't do anything. Then, svabhavastu pravartate. Your own nature. Your own nature meaning your mind. Your mind, your thinking, your desires, your body, all this create the whole thing. Look at it. Let's understand this a little more clearly technically. There is one consciousness all over. In that consciousness there is one mind, an apparent entity called mind. Okay? Now in the mind, what is the first thought that will come up? I. It cannot be anything else. Because everything else will be only after I is there. Therefore ahankara. This is what we call the ahankara, the ego, the conceptual self. But it has not yet become the ahankara or the conceptual self. Just I, simple I. And in the mind there is also ignorance about what I am. Now, if this mind, first feeling will be what? I am a finite entity because mind is finite. I am associated with a few things. Therefore, self-judgment. Therefore, a sense of smallness, a sense of isolation, loneliness, fear, desires, ahankara. Then action. Because desires are there, I have to do something. Insecurity is there, I have to do something to get over it. No? Therefore, I have to do something about it. Because now this mind is connected with this body as well. Therefore, action. Therefore, karma phala. Therefore, happiness, joy, worry, anxiety, all this, what we call samsara, natural. natural state. Don't blame the Atma for all this, you see. Don't blame yourself also because you didn't know. It is all out of ignorance, therefore nothing to be blamed. Nothing to be really blamed about because all out of ignorance. Okay? Therefore, prabhavastu svabhavastu vartate, he says. Okay. Again, continuing further, the same idea, okay? Yeah. Nadate kasyachit papam naichaiva sukrutam vibhuhu ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Na adate kasyachit papam. There is no papa coming to me. Naichaivam sikrutam vibhuhu. Or the good that I have done, the punya that I have done. I, the Atma, the awareness, is free from both punya papa. Free from punya papa. Karma phala of punya papa is also not there. It is there only for the ahankara, not for me. It is there for the jiva, not for me, the consciousness. Okay? Then why do I feel guilty, hurt, upset, etc., etc., etc.? Ajnanena avrutam jnanam. Your jnanam is covered by ajnanam. Now, what is the jnanam here? You have to be careful. Because it is not jnanam, satyam jnanam, anantam brahman jat jnanam. Here, jnanam meaning jnana sadhanam, by that by which you gain knowledge, your mind. It is only the mind that is covered with ignorance, not the consciousness. Because you are aware of your ignorance. Do you know Atma is Sachidananda Swarupa? Let me say, I asked somebody on the road, hey, do you know you are Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman? Swamiji, kya unko kuch pata nahi? I don't know. Do you know that you don't know? Haan. I'm very clear, I don't know. That means what? In the light of the consciousness, you are seeing the ignorance. Therefore, it is not the consciousness doesn't have the problem of ignorance. Your mind has it. Exactly like saying, Hastamalakya, one of Shankara's youngest student. Shankara's youngest student, a teenager. Okay, he writes a series of verses called Hastamalakiyam. He says there, Ganachanna drishtihi, Ganachanna markam, Ghanena, Meghena, by clouds. Drishtihi achannam, my view is covered. And what do I say? Ganachanna markamiti, that the cloud, that the sun is covered. The sun is so many miles in diameter. This cloud is a small little cloud, only a couple of miles. How can it cover the sun? It only covers my vision of the sun. Therefore, Ganachanna. Tataha, similarly he says, Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupoham Atma. Aham Atma, Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupam. Always available as the I. It's always available as the I. I know I am. Without studying the Gita or Upanishad or anything, I know that I am without any problem. I exist, I am. You don't need a pramana also for that. Therefore, I, the self, does not have a problem. Your mind does not know what you are. Therefore, because of that, the ahankara is formed, and I take myself to be a finite being, and therefore, punya, papam, all this will come up. Therefore, neither I have punya nor papa, he says. Ajnanena avrutam jnanam. And because of that, jantavaha, the living beings, mukhyanti, all are confused, deluded. How can you not be deluded? How can you not be deluded? Yeah. Because completely gone. You are thinking yourself as a finite being. See, the infinite thinks of itself as a finite being. The loss is infinite, isn't it? A loss of name, money, fame, this, that. That's all finite losses. Big though they may be, they are all finite losses. But here, if you miss the infinite, the loss is infinite, not finite. You have lost the infinite, not finite. Therefore, he says, what should be done? Now the question will be, all right, if this is the position, what shall I do about it? Simple. Here he says that ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषाम् आदित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशति तत्परम्. Simple he says, येन ज्ञानेन vritti jnanena. When you understand jnanena, you have to understand vritti jnanena. The jnanam that happens in your mind, that takes place in your mind when the mind is exposed to a pramana like the Gita, the Upanishad, etc. Therefore, when that happens, that happens, jnanena tu tad ajnanam, yesham nashitam, for whom that ajnanam is destroyed, for which person, atmanaha here is person, for which person that ignorance has been destroyed, tesham adityavat jnanam. That jnanam, which jnanam? Satyam jnanam anantam of the Atma. Adityavat, like the sun, prakashayati tatparaha, immediately thereafter. Prakashati iti. The imagery is here something simple. I can't see the sun because there is a cloud covering it. Small cloud covering it. One whiff of breeze, the cloud is gone. Then the sun shines as it is always was shining. You can't say the sun is shining now. The sun was always shining. Wow, somebody is really having issues at home. The sun was always shining. Sun was always shining. But now what has happened? Now the cloud that covered your eyes is gone. The cloud that covered your vision of the sun is gone. Similarly, I am always Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Never am I anything different. Because of ignorance in my mind, I took myself to be a finite entity with all the problems of a finite being. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gum, like that. If it is kabhi khushi, kabhi gum, it will be okay, manageable. But it is gum, 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 and then some khushi coming in between. Yeah. If it is gum, khushi, manageable. 50% is khushi, no? That's not bad. But it is not like that. It is gum, 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 gum. Then when you think, oh, everything you are getting desperate, this thing, some khushi comes up. Ah, okay, I can survive. Therefore, that way the whole thing goes. Yeah, all the problems are there. Natural. Until when? Until jnanena tad ajnanam nashitam. Ajnane. Jnanena tad ajnanam nashitam. There is no other way. Because ignorance is a problem. You cannot negate that ignorance in any other way. Because all through history, and even recently, there are plenty of people who talk about all these things. Unfortunately, I can't really call themselves gurus because asampradayavit, they are not very much at home with the tradition. Okay? They are not in line with the tradition. Therefore, I am forced to call them asampradayavit. I mean, the public looks upon them as gurus. Fine, I'll accept that. Very popular figures. Fine, no issues. But by any process, if you say you do this process and after this process you will be free, sorry, it is karma phala, it will be finite. It's an experience. After that experience I felt free. Sorry, experience is finite. unless somebody taught you what that experience was about. Or you are a great punyatma in your previous lifetime and you had studied enough. This experience, you read something here and there. That is enough. There's a great teacher from South who presents this as an experience. All that experience is enough. He talks about his own experience of realization. But then he sent his students to an ashram to pick up all Swamiji's books. Which is good. Let them learn and understand what it's all about. We don't have a copyright over this knowledge. Nobody has. This is our ancient Indian tradition. The Vedas belong to one who masters it with love. That's it. Therefore, this knowledge is available for anyone and everyone. Therefore, if it is presented as an experience or as a process, etc., it doesn't work. Yeah. Do this and all your karmas will be exhausted. Forget it. It won't work like that. You have to understand that there is no karma phala for you. Why? Because you are limitless consciousness, not a finite entity. Only then you are really free. Otherwise, you are always trying to become something. By some process, you are trying to become, and that becoming is what we call samsara. There is a political leader in India who always talked about हमें बनाना है, and during his time we used to call that the Prime Minister is trying to make India a banana republic because everywhere he is talking about banana hai, but not doing anything. Nothing is happening. Yeah. Therefore, any process, any experience, all of them can help. Any process, some processes you do. Various teachers present a lot of processes. They'll help in making your mind ready. That much they will help. We also had that whole system of yoga was get to make the mind ready. That is a process. Yoga is experiential. It's a process to get the mind ready. Good. Any meditative experience, etc., if it is helping to make your mind ready, helping you to understand that you are independent of the mind, good enough. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, there's a lot of spirituality in football. In football, yeah, he said that. Why? Because when you play football, you learn to push your body and mind to its limits, no? Beyond its limits. You are pushing it. Therefore, the mind and body, like the football is an object of your legs, your body and mind is also an object because you are pushing it. Good. Yeah. So it's easier to understand that. Yeah. Any contact sport will be good. The harder the contact sports, the easier it is to understand you are beyond the body and mind. If it is taught like that, of course, that is important. It has also has to be taught like that and explained. Or some teacher has to point out to this guy who is going through that, hey, this is what your experience is. And you say, correct. That is correct. Yeah. So, there is where the whole thing comes up. Okay. Okay. Then how to get this knowledge clearly and how to make it. Okay, before I go into that, is there any questions or clarifications up to now? Any doubts? Anything that you want me to clarify? If anything, shoot. Because it's a huge topic. I can go on and on and. Okay, an allied topic also I want to bring in here. When you say jnanena ajnanam nashitam, You also have to understand that if you two things, that if you have to gain knowledge, you need a mind. Why? This problem is there in your mind. The problem of ignorance is in your mind. Therefore, the knowledge gained also has to be in your mind. And we say Atma is beyond the mind. Atma is beyond the mind, the Atma is in and through the mind also. The water is beyond the wave, and the water is in and through the wave as well. The ocean is beyond the wave, correct? But it is in and through the wave as well. You have to understand that very, very well. Therefore, the mind is necessary for this knowledge. Number one. Number two, any knowledge, worldly or spiritual, requires a means of knowledge, a pramana. Pramakaranam pramanam. That which gives you knowledge is called a pramana. Like my eyes are the means of knowledge to know the color of this book. Pramanam. My ears to hear the sound. Then inference, upamanam, all that we have different types of pramanas. Similarly, to know the truth also you require a pramanam. Without pramanam, no vritti jnanam takes place. No knowledge takes place in your mind without a pramana. Swamiji, I was just sitting down and analyzing certain things and I suddenly gained insight, something like that. You use a lot of pramanas. You use anumanam, analysis involve inferences. You use presumptions. Arthapati. Deductive logic you used. You used upamana, comparative learning. All that three pramanas you used for that insight. But Swamiji, isn't there something called intuition? Yeah, it is there. Who denies intuition? We only don't give it a status of a pramana. Because right now, looking at the screen, I can say, hey, my intuition is you have a doubt. And you may say, no Swamiji, I don't have a doubt. I was just thinking about what you said. Because my intuition may be right, may be wrong. It is not like saying, I am seeing this and saying this is brown in color. It is not like that. Intuition exists. I am intuitive, especially in dealing with danger, etc. I am very intuitive. I will sense it a mile away. Yeah. Especially if you are among nature or in the Himalayas, etc. Yeah, I will sense it. Why? I am trained to do that. Trained naturally by myself. Okay. So I pick up danger signals very fast. Even a road in Bombay, when I am walking down, I'll know, hey, this road, be careful, alright. What is it? You've not seen anything there. No, let us take the other road. Especially if there is a lady or something with me, I'll say, let's take the other road. If I'm alone, I'll go through. Yeah. Therefore, intuition is there. It does not have the status of a pramana. And somebody asked this, what is pramana? Pramakaranam pramanam. That which gives you knowledge is called pramana. Perception, inference, etc. Pramakaranam. Unfortunately, in many English books, pramana is translated as authority. Wrong translation. Because it was done by all the Christian missionaries who translated. For them, Bible is an authority. Word of God supersedes all human knowledge. Therefore, authority. Even if it is talking about the world. Yeah. Therefore, that thinking they brought into us. No. For us, very clear, pramakaranam. That which gives you knowledge is pramana. Then, of course, there are further definitions that will enhance it. So, when we see that, at that time we will clarify it. By that time, this time itself may be good. Okay, we have mixed feelings. Do we have mixed intuitions too? Yeah. See, if you can have mixed feelings, you like the guy, at the same time there are certain things about him that bug you. Every married couple should be feeling like that actually. I love her, but she drives me crazy. Natural, mixed feelings are there. Mixed thinking is also there, no? Arre, Trump is losing. Good, good, good. Good for America if Trump is losing. But bad for India, yaar. A Republican government is always better for India than a Democratic government. But a Democratic Party government. Always throughout history. So you can have mixed thinking. You can have mixed feelings. Therefore, your intuitions also can get mixed up. Your intuitions also can. Human beings are great. You can mix up anything. We are great people, you know. We can mix up anything and everything. Yeah. Yeah. That's why we are not saying thinking will give you knowledge. We are saying a pramana properly used will give you knowledge. Yeah. Because thinking may be not convoluted thinking. That's why the first thing I did in this class was to talk about all distorted thinking. If you remember in the second chapter itself, some 15 styles of distorted thinking I gave you all. You'll find that paper somewhere at home, it will be there. Those of my outstation students who don't have that paper, search for RET, Rational Emotive Training, and look for distorted thinking there on the net. You will get it. Now they have increased the number to 20, 22 or 25 or something. But don't get confused that you have all of them. Nobody has all of them. Okay? Nobody has more than 4 or 5. Thank God. If you had all of them, you can't come into a Gita class. You'll have to go somewhere else. 4 or 5, no problems. Gita class can handle it. Yeah. So a pramana is necessary. So mind is necessary. Pramana is necessary. These two things are unavoidable. After that, okay, I have gained insights into it. How do I make it a part of my life? How do I own it up? So that I can be like that, always Ananda Swarupaha, in spite of thick and thin and problems of life and all the challenges, this, that, including lockdown of COVID and things like that. Like those of my UK students, second lockdown has started. Yeah. Yeah, UK is under second lockdown. Yeah. So in all this, how can I be Ananda? He's saying that in the next verse, in the 17th verse. Tad buddhayah tad atmanah tad nishtah tad parayanah gachanti apunara vrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmasha. Tad buddhayah. First, your mind has to be awake to this knowledge. Meaning, you should have gone to a teacher, to a sampradaya with someone who knows the sampradaya of teaching. See, somehow now the word sampradaya has got a bad name. In India, if you say ye sampradayak hai, meaning he is a fanatic. No. Every branch of knowledge has its own sampradaya. Music, for example, does it not have its own sampradaya, its own gharanas, etc.? Martial art has its own sampradayas. Otherwise, why do you need? After all, you are only kicking and punching. After all, when you see martial art, what are you seeing? Kicking and punching. No? Then why do you need taekwondo, karate, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, kalari? Why do you need so many different things? All different sampradayas, different schools. Yeah. And the sampradaya with is one who has the tradition with him and who knows how to impart that knowledge. Yeah. That is called sampradaya with. Therefore, tad buddhayaha. Go to the sampradaya with and learn. First thing. Minimum the whole of Gita. Okay. Sampradaya with. Okay. You know why I am saying whole of Gita now? Because I was taking a class for some youngsters. Okay. They all had gone abroad and suddenly discovered that they know nothing about Indian traditions. So before they went, one of their mothers asked me, can you do a few sessions on Indian culture and things like that? I said, yeah, no problems. So I did about 2 weeks sessions for them. About 2-3 days a week. So about 7-8 sessions I must have taken. Then they all went abroad, then they came back for a 3-month break. Said, can we have him teach us the Gita, etc. I said, okay, topic wise I'll do it. So the second time when I did it, the children's grandmother was there. She's a typical westernized woman. A great lady, okay, really. But she wanted to see what is this sadhu telling my kids, my grandchildren. So she also sat for the class. So after some time she asked me, Swamiji, really speaking, to realize yourself, to know the truth, how much of the Gita you study? I said, minimum? He said, yeah, minimum. He said, I'm an old woman, I'm 18 now. What is the minimum you tell me? I said, minimum second chapter. If you understand the second chapter completely, thoroughly, you can be free. So the day I finished the second chapter, this class was in Nepeansky Road, mid-morning class. I had a morning class in Nepeansky Road those days at 7:30 in the morning. The second class was this at 10 o'clock. I finished the class, came home, and I get a call from her daughter. That is my student's mother, her mother, okay. From the daughter I get a call. Swamiji, my mother is no more. She entered her house, collapsed and went away. Why? Second chapter is over. She was holding on until I finished the second chapter. So now I say whole Gita, okay? And a few Upanishads also, it's good. Yeah. Yeah. Recently I lost, I don't know whether I mentioned it last week, I lost one of my students. He was 90 plus. He went off saying Aham Brahmasmi. His last words were Aham Brahmasmi. What a way to go. What a way to go. So all that apart. Therefore, from a sampradaya with, study the text, understand, get your insights clear. Then what? Tad buddhyaha, tad atmanaha. Be the one who has taken Atma to be Brahman, nothing else. Very clear about it. We have work on your clarity. Tad atmanaha. Tan nishtaha. Commit yourself to that knowledge. Tan nishtaha. Commitment. That commitment is important. Tat parayana. Keep that as the ultimate end in life. Because for some of us it cannot be immediate. If it is immediate end, sadhu ban jata tha. Ultimate. Okay, I have to do a few things, but my ultimate end is this. Therefore, keep it as the ultimate end in life. Parayana. Then what happens to such a person? See, ultimate end, it can have two meanings. Ultimate as nothing greater than this. Ultimate as nothing greater than this. Ultimate as not immediate later. That both meanings are okay. Both meanings are okay. Like one of my students, was taking sannyasa. So Swamiji gave her a name and then asked me, good name, na? I said, Swamiji, whatever names comes from you is great. Then he said, yes, you are her initial guru, I am her ultimate guru. So I said, yes, your guru, grand guru, everything for us. Okay. So ultimate can be nothing greater. Ultimate can be the final goal. Like he used it in that sense, the final teacher. You were the initial teacher, I am the ultimate teacher, the final one. Okay, yeah. Or it can mean the nothing greater than this as ultimate. It's the ultimate thing to get in life. Good to keep it as both. There's nothing higher than this as a goal in life. There's nothing higher. What higher things are there? Everything is done for the sake of Ananda only. No? Why do you do anything? This guy comes and tells me, Swamiji, I want a job. Why? Some standing I will have, some happiness I will have. Okay. They are rarely said anything. It's very rare to meet people who say, I am very happy with my job. There will always be some cribbing about it. All right, go ahead. Then, Swamiji, I want to get married. Why? So that I will be happy. Huh? Okay. You have to go through that experience. As I said, kabhi khushi, kabhi gum. Ho jayega. ठीक है, अच्छा ही. Get married. I am always happy when people get married. I encourage my students to get married. You know why, na? There's another house available for me to go and say Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi. Because I can beg for food only from a household. Anyway, jokes apart, in that sense, everything you are doing is being done for the sake of happiness only. No? Job, children, or don't want children. Either way, you want children for the sake of happiness. You don't want kids for not for being happiness. Whatever you do is for the sake of happiness only. And here you are getting the ultimate happiness directly. Therefore, it is the ultimate goal in life anyway. Ultimate as little later or ultimate as the highest. Both ways is applicable. Therefore, tat parayana. If you do that, he says, jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. You become someone whom jnanena kalmashaha nirdhutam. All your impurities. What is impurities? Ajnanam, ragadvesham, hurt, pain, guilt, all of them. Jealousy, anger, etc. Jnanena nirdhutam. All been washed away by knowledge. You are left fresh, like afresh when you go out and come back. Sweaty, this, that, polluted fruits of Bombay. Then you have a nice shower. You feel fresh with the whole thing. Similarly, jnanena nirdhutam sarva kalmasha. All kalmashas negated by knowledge. Now he is not mentioning preparing the mind, etc., because that's already understood. So you may have to do certain things before you can even gain the insights, etc. That is understood. Okay. Therefore, jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Okay. What happens to that person? Gacchanti apunaravrittim. Goes to a place of no return. Place of no return? Yep. I'm not too sure I want to go there. It's put poetically. In the sense, right now we are in a state of ignorance. Ignorance gone, you get into a state of knowledge. Can you get back to your ignorant state? Not possible. Supposing you did not know that this was a pen. All of you can see this. This is a pen. Okay, now you know it's a pen. You are in a state of knowledge about the pen. Now try and get into a state of ignorance about the pen. Come on, forget it's a pen. The more you try to forget, the more firm you will make it in your mind. Isn't it? Forget what? Even if it is outer side. What did somebody ask you to forget? Pen. Okay, pen. Forget. Ajnanam can never make a comeback. Once you know for good, ignorance can never make a comeback. Yeah. Ignorance can never make a comeback. Yeah. Knowledge always comes, ignorance always goes. Especially because this knowledge is not based on details. You may forget a verse. That can happen. Supposing I were to ask you, what is the 16th verse of the Gita, chapter 2? Many of you may not remember. Some of you may. Why? Because there is knowledge of details. What is the 11th verse? That people should remember. Ashocha and Anushocha. That's the first verse of the teaching. Therefore, that is easy for people to know. 16th is Na Bhava Vidyate Sataha. One of the most important verses. Okay. But I can understand if people forget by number. Why? It's all details. But your Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman is not about details. There is no detail there. There is only one entity, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. There is only one thing. What if it goes out of sight? Swamiji, I didn't touch the Gita book for 2 years. Doesn't matter. There are books that I have studied that I have not touched for 20 years. 1 or 2 of them is lying right here because I am planning to read that. Why? 20, 30 years I have not read it. चित्सुखी एंड ऑल, कोई स्टूडेंट ही नहीं है वो सब सिखाने के लिए. when my students come to that level that I can teach them such books, चित्सुखी, खंडना खा दिया, etc. I don't know. So if you ask me what does this chapter say and all, I say let me refer. I may have to say that. Most of it I remember, all the arguments I remember, but which verse says which, I may not remember. Why? 30 years I have not touched it. But can you forget your Sachidananda Atma? It is never out of sight. It is never out of mind. Why? First thing is what? I. And what is that I? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. What are you doing now? Role of a teacher. Yeah. After this, my sister will be coming. So, role of a brother. After that, I'll be phantom. Why? I'll be walking the streets of Bombay like an ordinary man. Go for a walk. The idea is, in all of them, Satyam Jnanam Anandam will remain the same. Roles keep changing. Like what was that song? गोपियाँ तो आने जाने, राधा तो दिल के रानी है. वो था ना कुछ मूवी में, लगान मूवी. So I say, Atma is my Swarupa. How can I forget that? It seems to come and go in the beginning because there is lack of clarity. Number one, there is lack of owning up. We all have gone through that phase. Every person who is a teacher today has gone through that phase of it coming and going. Yeah, because the clarity has to be worked upon, owning up has to be worked upon until it becomes your nature. The knowledge is complete, clear. That's why he said tad buddhayaha, tad atmanaha, tad nishtaha, tad parayanaha. All that he says that for what? To make it a part of your life. Swamiji, along with everything else, how do I do it? Make it your commitment. That is the most important thing. You are committed to this knowledge. Come what may. You may be doing a million things. That's okay. That's life. Life is what happens when you are planning other things. Like COVID is life. It happens when you are planning a lot of things. You can't avoid that. Okay? Life always happens when you are planning a lot of things. Yeah. That's okay. That's fine. You can do a million things. Get married, have children, have grandchildren, whatever. All that's fine. What is your commitment? That to the knowledge should be high. A life of Karma Yoga. If a life of sannyasa is possible, nothing like it. But that may not be feasible for everyone. That may not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. So, a life of Karma Yoga. Doing what is necessary to handle the mind. From your own thinking, to talking to a friend, to talking to your teacher, to therapy, to whatever is necessary. Do what works. That's the fundamental principle of life to live by. Do what works. Don't waste time on what is not working. Do what works. I once took a camp on 10 principles for living. The first principle was this: do what works. Don't waste time on what is not working. So, do whatever is necessary to handle the mind. A life of Karma Yoga. And commitment to the learning this. Minimum 1 class a week. That you can always do. 1 class a week. If not live, online, wherever. Swamiji, I want to take 10 classes a week. Please don't. You will end up getting confused. You may not be ready for that. That I will give you in small doses in the camps. 3-4 days के लिए ठीक है in a camp. That I'll give you in Vedic Wisdom Festival. This time is going to be a great festival. We are going to have some international speakers also, like David Frawley and all of them. Vamadeva Shastri is there. One of my juniors from Brazil is there. So, We are going to get some international speakers as well. So you will get a good dose for 2 days. Then end of Jan or something, we'll have our camp where also you will get a good dose like last time. So that much of classes for a short time, 3-4 days is fine. At the level that most of you are now. Otherwise, minimum 1 class a week. Maximum, maybe 3. Don't take more than that. Don't take more than that. I'll guarantee you, you will confuse yourself. Very few. Those of my students who are attending this class, after having finished the Gita, the Upanishad, the Brahma Sutras, etc., and you are taking a more class as far as a revision, they are open. They can find. That's fine. They can have more than 2-3 classes also, because it's a revision for them. For them, it's okay. You will get fresh insights. That's always okay. But more important than that is to commit to your learning, analyze, think it over, discuss it with people, and make it your own. That's important. Then all their commitment, etc. comes. Tad buddhaya, tad parayana, all that is automatically there. Easy. And if you live like that, before you know it, you will be a wise person, okay? How long does it take? I don't know. Not long. It takes some time, that much I can say. How long is individual? When you start studying, we'll think it take a life. I thought I'll take a whole lifetime for it. But before I knew it, it was all clear. And my guru said, go, enough. Confuse the people in Bombay. That's why I came down. And now that was in 1885. Came down and started confusing people. And I'm doing a good job of that even now. Okay. So good place to stop. Next Saturday is Diwali Eve. Okay. So I think we will skip the class, because I know out of enthusiasm most people will say, okay, let's have a class. But I also know that family issues, etc., lot of things will come up.
Very happy Diwali to you, sir.
Yeah. So I don't want people, me having a class and people missing it. And then feeling guilty, oh, I missed the class. I don't want to contribute to your guilt. Okay. So we'll take a break next class and meet after that. Because next Saturday is Diwali Eve, I think. No? Yeah. The Snanam is Sunday morning. Yeah. So happy Diwali to all of you. Have a great time.